In this episode of the podcast, David and I discuss and review the 2017 adaptation of the Stephen King classic, It.
We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Welcome back to the Swearwolves. I'm Bret.
I'm David.
David,
Yes, Bret.
how are you, buddy?
I'm wonderful. How are you, friend?
I'm doing pretty good. It hasn't been like extremely cold here. I take that back. At Christmas time, it was extremely cold. There was that bomb. What do they call that? Bomb cyclone?
The bomb cyclone?
Yeah, that came in and made it
It's a bomb-ass cyclone. It's got a cool name.
It was pretty cool. But that made it really cold, like 0 degrees. I think with wind chill, it was like negative 11 one day. And I was
nuts.
like, okay, that's cool. That's cold. But since then, since around Christmas time, it hasn't been cold. And I'm knocking on wood because who knows, by the time this comes out, it could be deep freeze. But it's been like 45 degrees.
Let's say if it was 0 degrees, I'd die. Like it's 50 degrees here, like right now, and I'm wearing a beanie and I'm cold.
See, it was 50 degrees yesterday, and I was like, it's kind of warm out.
Shorts and a t-shirt on, tank top.
Not
Just tank top and bikini bottoms for you.
I did wear shorts, because I can walk to my gym.
Yeah.
It's like an 8-minute walk, and so I just do that. And
Get
it
that
was
blood
like
pumping.
50 degrees, and it was like not a problem. I walked to the high school. I had to walk to the high school yesterday because my daughter is in cheer, and they were having a competition, and so I walked down there to meet up with them. So
They did the cheer competition inside?
the cheer competition was inside,
That's
but
good.
So they got second place. So, okay, that's good. But the high schoolers were also competing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, our high school wasn't competing. They were just doing what's called. Listen, there's a whole cheer subculture that I'm now getting
Is it
involved
like a
in.
demo or an exhibition or something?
Yeah, they were doing an exhibition. Yeah, because they were the ones putting on the show, and they kind of do this contest or competition as like a fundraiser. So they raise money for their own cheer team, so they can do stuff. So they invite schools from all over, and they compete, and they win prizes. Yada yada yada. Anyway, one of our girls was performing, and our high school cheer team is really good. Like they've won state.
That's cool.
I don't know how many times in a row, like the last 10 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're really fucking good. And they have a really good coach. She's really good to these girls. But anyway, we would go to the football games, like not primarily to watch them, but we would go to the football games and just to watch
Watch
them
the
cheer.
cheerleaders?
Yeah, they're really good. Anyhow, she's performing yesterday, and all of a sudden, everybody stops doing what they're doing, and we all look, and there's one girl, and she holds her hand up, and one finger is just the wrong way.
Oh, it's broken?
Dislocated. So
God.
my daughter's friend is
A doctor?
My daughter's friend is a doctor. My daughter's friend is like cousins with the girl who that happened with, and she got pictures of it, and she sent them to her, and so there were pictures of the X-ray, and it was dislocated. It's just bent the wrong way.
That is no fun. That will spoil your day.
But they've had problems this whole year. Like one of them got a concussion, and they got a couple broken collarbones, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're throwing people
Dude,
up
honestly,
in
I
the
think
air.
cheerleading is like one of the most dangerous sports, right? As far as like sports injuries go.
I mean, definitely
think
for
it's-
the flyers, the
I think
ones
it's
who
up
go
there. Yeah.
go up,
And tossed about.
and they have to put a lot of trust in the girls that are on the bottom to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job. I mean, it's not just
Like,
like
they
one.
catch them most of the time.
I mean, even like at my daughter's level, she's 10, and at her level, they're throwing these girls way up in the air.
That's crazy.
Yeah, not, but anyway, I thought that was pretty gnarly. That was pretty horrific. I had to turn away. I saw it and I go, she broke her finger. And
Yeah,
everybody's
stuff like that.
"Huh?"
Like real. Like I could watch that movies and be like, yeah. But like real life, I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
no.
when when
see that
James
shit.
Caan gets his foot bashed in by Kathy Bates, I'm all like,
Yeah, you're like, more of that.
but if someone breaks a bone in real life, I'm like, get the fuck away from me.
Someone
I
gets a
will-
paper cut, I'm like, yeah. I go, oh. Dude, my grandma's like that.
yeah.
I remember one year at Thanksgiving, my grandma was open like a can of like, I don't know, like canned cranberries or I don't know, something, whatever, and cut her hand or finger on the lid of the can. And my grandma like can't stand like a drop of blood. My grandma's gone. And I remember she was like, oh, I'm going. Everybody's like, calm the hell down. You got a tiny ass cut on your finger.
And that's not even blood. It's cranberries, Grandma.
It's cranberry sauce.
You're like, that is cranberry sauce.
Yeah, you taste it. And also a little bit of blood. Delicious blood.
You're like, have you ever seen the movie Blood Rage? So yeah, that's what's been going on. When I was a kid, like around my daughter's, yeah, actually probably a little bit older, there was a movie that came out on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember.
and it really
Scared the shit out of you?
it didn't scare the shit out of me, but I loved it, and it scared me and intrigued me and introduced me to Stephen King. Like, I had known about Stephen King at that point. I was 12 when the TV movie, came out. And it was like a 2-part miniseries, I guess.
Right. I remember when it came out.
And I had known there was a girl who I went to school with who was a big reader. Like, she was always reading. She was one of those girls. Like, always a book in her hand. And like, you know.
And walking with the book.
Yeah. So you could nerd, throw her in the
Give her
locker.
wedgies.
Yeah. But she was always reading, and so I knew who that was, and I was always intrigued by the covers of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the book cover very well with the drain and the boat.
Yeah,
in the
there was
hand.
that one, but I mean, like other Stephen King books, like
Oh, yeah.
Thinner, I think had a cool cover. Night Shift or Graveyard Shift or some shit.
Graveyard Shift. That was a cool one.
Yeah, there was tons of cool covers to these paperback covers to these Stephen King books, and I would always see her reading that. I was like, "Oh, what is that?" You know. But it came out, and I was like, "I want to read it now." And so I asked for it, the book, and other Stephen King books for Christmas, and I got it.
Were you like, oh, fuck. It's
I
a,
looked
it's a
at it,
lot
I
of
was like,
book.
This book is 1,000 fucking pages. How am I supposed to read this? Like, do you guys understand
I'm a
who I
kid.
am? But I also got Different Seasons, which is a collection of short stories.
Oh, okay.
And Different Seasons is Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption, which is what they based the movie The Shawshank Redemption on. The Body.
Is that Stand
which
By Me?
Stand By Me is based on. An Apt Pupil is in there also.
Oh, cool.
I actually just got it for my son to read because he finished another book from Stephen King. So I got that for him for Christmas. But I got that, and I read The Body, and I was able to read that. That's a short story. Short Stephen King story. I'm there.
12-year-old Bret was all about it.
Yeah. I started reading it. I never finished.
That's funny because I think around that same time, my dad bought the book, and started reading it. And I think he had a very similar thing. And my dad for a while was really into books, and he was like, it was just so descriptive that I just got bored.
I don't know this for a fact because I never finished it, but I'm imagining that Stephen King writes, and then it's a flashback, and then it's a flashback within the flashback. It's all over the place. And he keeps it, I mean, it's not bad. He keeps it under control. Like, he knows what's going on.
He knows where he is.
Yeah. Now, I have heard, I was listening to the Best Movies Never Made podcast. If you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend listening to the Best Movies Never Made. And they did an episode on it, the different various versions of it that were never made.
Right.
And they had some of the people from Kingcast. I believe is what it's called. It's a
Oh,
podcast.
yeah. That podcast.
Yeah, they had them on there. I've never listened to KingCast, but they were the experts. And listen, so I'm establishing right now I'm not a Stephen King expert. So anything that I say is purely I'm a fan
I
of
haven't
horror
read
films.
any of his stuff, so I'm even dumber.
So anything we say is us being fans of horror films and our take on this as a horror film.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
our take on this as, well, it's not a true
It's not a
adaptation.
faithful adaptation.
No. I knew. Sorry.
I mean, I'm still going to do that, and I'm just going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. And be like, if you really read between the lines, I'm clearly right.
And I do that with the It miniseries, the TV movie. I liked it. I don't care if it's not a true adaptation. I do it with the It movie. It doesn't matter to me. I'm taking this for a movie and for entertainment value.
Yeah. We're
So
reviewing a movie.
I set that all up just to tell you that I'm a moron. I
Me
don't
too.
like to read. Although one of my goals this year is actually to read more.
I go through phases like where I'll read several books and then I won't read anything for years, and then
Yeah.
I'll read a bunch of books. I'm probably about there. It's like every 27 years, like the story. Like I emerge and I read, and then I go back into hibernation.
It's about that time. Okay, so let's go. Let's
do
talk
it.
about it. Now we're talking about the modern movies. We're not talking about. I presented these to you actually, and you were hesitant to watch it because you're like, "Do you realize how long these fucking movies are, Brad?"
Yeah, it wasn't because like I wasn't interested, but it was like, this is a time investment.
Dude, we've
Why
already
not?
reduced down to only one movie per episode.
I know.
So this will be a Swearwolves first. We're actually going to do a two-parter.
Oh shit.
Dun dun dun. The first part we'll talk about It Chapter 1. The second part we'll talk about It Chapter 2.
Yes.
If you didn't realize. So It Chapter 1 came out in 2017. September 8th, 2017. What, David, was the number one movie in the box office?
This is a tough one. No, it's not. This is very easy. It was this movie. This movie was a smash.
It was this movie. Now, I saw this movie in the theater the
Yeah, me
day it
too.
opened.
Yep, same.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't see it the day it opened, but I did see.
I saw it the minute it opened.
I
That was the
didn't
first
because
showing.
There's a guy that I worked with at the time who saw it like opening weekend, and then like Monday at work, he's like, "David, did you see it?" And I was like, "No." And this dude asked me like every day, "So have you seen it yet?" And I'd be like, "I'm probably gonna see it on the weekend." But like Monday through Friday, that whole week was like, "Did you go?" And every time I'd be like, "Nah, dude, I'm gonna see it on Saturday probably." And then I think something happened where I didn't see it that weekend, and I got another week of it, and then I finally did see it, and I was like, "Yes, I saw
Were you
it."
like, I finally, just lie to him. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was awesome.
I really liked the part where what was that part that was crazy? And get him to tell me like, yeah, that part. Wild.
So yes, that is the number one movie. The number one song was, of course, then.
I hope it's not this song, but I picked a shitty song by an even shittier band. I'm going with Thunder by Imagine Dragons.
No, it wasn't that song.
Oh,
I don't know
good.
that song.
Oh, it's dog shit. They suck.
Really? Do
I'm
they
sorry.
suck?
I think I probably have pissed some people off. I think they're very popular and a lot of people like them. I just don't like them at all. I find them quite
I don't know
dull.
enough about Imagine Dragons. I think my kids make fun of Imagine Dragons.
Well, that's good. Yeah, good kids. Raising them right.
I am. But they also make fun of me, David.
Well, that's all right. That goes with the territory. That means they like you.
That's true.
They roast you.
They do roast me quite a bit. I'm a dad, so I'm the brunt of many jokes.
Yep.
The number one song was actually a very popular song for the time. It was Despacito.
Ah, yeah.
By,
God, that's been the number one song, I think, in a few episodes.
Was it Louis Fonsi with Daddy Yankee featuring Justin Bieber? I think it was one of those cases where someone came out with the song Despacito and it was popular, and then Justin Bieber was like, put my name on that.
Get money. Yeah, I need to get in on that action.
They're like, okay. It's like Beyonce did that with a song. Like, I don't remember what song it was. It was like
She got in on that action.
yeah, it was like, it became really popular, and she's like, put me on like a Doja Cat song or something.
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah. Put me
I
on
want to
that.
be on that. Jay-Z was like, okay. Now it when it came out was just called It.
Yes.
I think when I watched the movie, I think it said It Chapter 1.
Really? Oh, I didn't catch that. Oh, but you know what? I watched it on Blu-ray, so mine just says It.
Yeah, I think it might have said It Chapter 1. They might have retconned it to do that, and we'll talk about some of that as we go on. But it is It Chapter 1 because they did make a follow-up. It Chapter 1 was written by Chase Palmer, Cary Fukunaga, and Gary Dauberman, based, of course, on the novel by Stephen King, directed by Andy Muschietti. Muschietti. I want a little muschietti with my prego
With my
sauce.
spaghetti.
You didn't put enough muschietti on my plate. Music by Benjamin Wallfish.
We've made fun of him before.
We have. He's done
Many
good
a
music.
Big Mouth Billy Bass joke, I think.
Take me to the
movie. Yep. All the hits.
All the hits. All the Swearwolves' greatest hits are coming out in this one.
Get ready for some dick jokes.
This movie stars a lot of people. I'll go through some of their names here. Jaden Lieberher as Bill. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, the dancing clown, or It, I guess. Jeremy Ray Taylor as Ben. Sophia Lillis as Beverly. Finn Wolfhard as Richie. He's in Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yeah.
Wyatt Olef as Stanley. Chosen Davis as Mike. And Jack Dylan Grazer as Eddie. We also have Nicholas Hamilton as Henry Bowers. And Phoenix's own Jackson Robert Scott as Georgie.
Oh.
He's from Phoenix.
I didn't realize that.
He is. The runtime of this movie is 135 minutes. So a little over 2 hours. 2 hours and 15 minutes long. The budget was estimated between $35 and $40 million. So let's just say $40 million. What do you think the box office was?
Oh God, I'm probably shooting low. I'm gonna say it made $500 million. I'll say 500 million.
It made $701
God damn.
million, almost $702 million.
Jesus.
Facts, just facts. Facts, just facts. Facts, just facts, man.
All right, so got some facts on this movie. Maybe you know these, maybe you don't. This movie had been in development for 7 years before filming actually began. I mentioned the Best Movies Never Made podcast. They talk about the different versions and what they wanted to change and what they didn't want to change. And there were some versions of the script that they were like, oh, we're going to not have it be the 7 kids. We're going to have it be like 4 kids, and we'll combine different aspects of different characters.
Did they have to keep recasting the kids because they all became adults?
Well, I don't think it ever got to the production.
It was just in development
phase. It was just in development. And a lot of that is writing, rewriting. Right. People have the rights. There's people that are interested. Zach Braff is attached to this project, and so they're going in this direction. All of a sudden, he's like, I don't want to fucking do that anymore, and so it goes in this
Somebody
direction.
Somebody else picks it
Yeah.
up.
Zach Braff was the first person that popped into my head for whatever reason. Probably because all those fucking commercials for cricket.
Oh, yeah, that he's been doing.
I think it's cricket. I don't even know what it is for. I just know it's him and Donald Faison.
Yeah.
Every time I watch TV. Around the time of the theatrical release of this film in Lititz, I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's in Pennsylvania, so that's why I picked this.
Lititz.
Lititz.
Okay.
It's probably pronounced Pennsylvania towns are spelled weird and pronounced weird.
I hope it's Lititz.
Lititz.
Lititz. Andy Muschietti. Lititz.
I don't muschieri all over Lititz, okay? Don't get your muschieri sauce all over Lititz.
All over Lititz.
There was a prank that involved a series of red balloons tied to sewer grates throughout the town, mimicking one of the book covers of the It novel, and the prank had frightened the citizens. And the
Dude,
police.
I thought that happened kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a thing?
I think it was probably like one of those like street teams. You know how they used to put like stickers up everywhere? They probably were like, hey, go put up a bunch of balloons on sewer grates.
Hang a red balloon over that storm drain.
I'll give you $5 an hour. The cast of the Losers Club, which is the kids. These are all the kids.
Yeah.
They were asked who they wanted to play their adult counterparts.
Oh, that's cool.
And these are their answers. So Richie, which was the kid from Stranger Things, he said Bill Hader.
Yeah.
It
Ding,
happened.
ding, ding.
Sophia Lillis, who plays Beverly, she said Jessica Chastain.
Wow. Two for
for
two.
two. Mike Hanlon, Chosen Jacobs, he said Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But that did not happen.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Jack Dylan Grazer said Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, you think a lot of yourself, don't you there, Jack Dylan?
Which guy was this?
Eddie.
Eddie.
I could
Jake
see
Gyllenhaal.
I could see Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal in that one movie where he was the art critic.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can play a nerd.
Okay.
He's just pretty.
Yeah, I guess just mean physically. I don't think the others, the first like two especially, like there's a physical resemblance.
Yeah. Wyatt Olaf, who played Stanley, he said Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Okay, that would have been cool.
For Stanley?
But still, no, he's more Eddie.
Yeah, he'd
Maybe.
be more of an Eddie. I had a friend who couldn't ever remember Joseph Gordon-Levitt's name, so he called him Geordie Levy Scott.
Geordie Levy Scott.
He's like, you know that Geordie Levy, the Geordie Levy Scott guy, and I go, who? Jeremy Ray Taylor, who played Ben Hanscom, he said Chris Pratt.
I could see that.
I could see that one too.
Yeah.
And Jaden Martell, who played Bill, said Christian Bale.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Due to the massive success of this film, Muschietti was so confident that a sequel would happen that he began meeting with Bill Skarsgård and Gary Dauberman to discuss production of Chapter 2 before it had even officially been greenlit by the studio. Okay. So the studio was like, you get this chance. So you get one shot. Do not miss your chance.
Don't fuck it up.
There's going to be some spaghetti on your sweater already.
Yeah.
They're like, if you want to do 2 parts, you got to make sure part 1 is successful because we're not greenlighting part 2. So they had to make a film not knowing if a sequel would come.
That's crazy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
It does show, though. And we'll get to that when we talk about It Chapter 2. But It Chapter 1 was made with the assumption on some people's end that there was maybe not going to be
Yeah, and
a
that
second part.
probably created some pressure to make a good standalone movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it had to be.
Yeah.
CGI was used in a lot of scenes, but Bill Skarsgård was actually able to move his eyes in different directions on his own,
That's cool.
which gives Pennywise this kind of uncanniness, like when you'll see CGI, it's the uncanny valley. Like, there's something wrong, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is. Well, Skarsgård was able to achieve that just on his own. Like,
That's awesome.
You look weird.
You're a weird looking dude.
Muschietti has stated that he intends to make a supercut of this film with both it and It
Put them all
Chapter 2
together. Interesting.
with extra footage and scenes that hadn't been shot. I don't know why it says hadn't been shot, but he's going to have the films kind of go back and forth and edit them together, kind of like what the novel does.
Okay, that makes sense.
And a few weeks after the release, this is my last little fact here. And I don't know if this one is true or not because I read something else that said something in Germany, but this one says Moscow. A few weeks after the release of this film in Moscow, Burger King, Russia, filed a complaint in an attempt to have the film banned, citing that McDonald's mascot, Ronald McDonald, looks too similar to Pennywise and that the film was thus endorsing the competition.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It is. And which leads me to believe that it's true. Because people do dumb things, regardless of if they're Russian or German or American. I mean, especially
you go see
in
it and you're like,
America.
I suddenly want a Big Mac.
I see a lot of things and think, God, I really want a Big Mac.
I was going to say, yeah, it's just life, just living.
All right. So that's that's the setup for this movie. Let's talk about the plot.
Let's do it.
Now, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do this anyway. The book takes place in the 50s. This movie has moved it to where it takes place in the 80s so that the present time stuff can happen in more present time when the movie was released.
Makes more sense. Yeah.
Because then you don't have to go back and like,
Yeah.
That's a lot of shit that you got to like go back and do. Anyway, it's 1988. See, okay, another reason why I really like this movie is because this movie, the kids are the same age that I was when the stuff is happening. So in 1988, I was the 12-year-old. I was 11, but I was that kid.
Yeah, and I was probably more Georgie, but
yeah, you were the kid.
I was kind of in between. I would have been like 8.
You were the kid getting his arm ripped off.
Yes, but still, like I'm the same way because then like you see things, you're like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Right off the bat, like the Bill's room, he's got a Gremlins poster and a Beetlejuice poster. And I was like, yes.
Yeah. So Bill is the older brother to Georgie. It's raining outside, and Georgie wants to go play in the rain, but Bill's sick, and he tells Georgie, "I can't go." But he's going to help him make this boat, so he can put it in the drainage gutter and watch it float around. Because Georgie's kind of an idiot.
He's easily entertained.
It's like, dude, we have Nintendo. Like, just
yeah, let's go play video games.
Play Duck
I'll
Hunt.
play with you. If you want to play with me, we can play together.
So he does. Georgie goes out there and he puts the boat in the gutter, and it goes zipping along. And then this little idiot kid hits his head.
He's like not paying attention. He's like looking at the boat, and he runs into a barricade or something, and knocks him on his ass.
Yep. And he's like, oh. But the boat starts going into the sewer.
Yeah, and he's like, no. Bill's going to be so mad at me.
Yeah, and he's like, Bill doesn't give two shits about you.
I thought that she was like, Bill doesn't give a fuck. He'll make you another one. Took him 5 seconds.
Yeah, just go back home. But instead, he tries to look at it, and all of a sudden, fucking Pennywise pops up.
Yeah, in the storm drain.
I do like that
Georgie.
This opening gets to the point like rather quickly.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't beat around the bush.
I think the
Pennywise
book does
right away.
I'm going to keep bringing up the book, and I said I wasn't going to do it. But I think the book does as well. Like, we get this scene as the first scene.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, enough about that. Next time I bring up the book, tell me to stop.
Stop it.
Tell me to shut
I
the fuck
never
up.
learned to read, and you keep rubbing it in.
Pennywise pops up. We get this clown right away, and we see him, and this is Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. What do you think of this clown?
He's creepy looking. He's got the big like rabbit teeth.
Yeah, he does have
makeup.
rabbit.
His eyes are weird.
Yeah,
he's got kind of Dwight Schrute type eyes.
Yeah, he does.
Kind of wide set.
Mm-hmm. They could have got
creepy.
Rainn Wilson to play the. I bet you Rainn Wilson would have done a good job.
Yeah, he would have been good.
Yeah, he's a creepy motherfucker. And listen, anybody pops up out of a sewer, I don't care if they got a hard helmet on and they're like, "Hey kid, we're working down here. I'm scared shitless and I'm running."
Yeah, but a goddamn clown. See ya.
Let alone a fucking clown. And you don't even have to be afraid of clowns. You don't have to have clownophobia or whatever the fuck it's called. If a clown pops up, you're gonna run.
Absolutely.
But Georgie's an idiot, like I've already established. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers." And he's like, "Well, I'm Pennywise. I'm not." He does this like, "Oh, I'm Pennywise,
the dancing clown."
Yeah. And he's drooling also.
Yeah.
Just this drool coming from his face. And he's like, "Do you want your boat? Come grab it." And Georgie like goes to grab it, and fucking Pennywise sprouts these goddamn teeth.
Yeah, his whole head like
opens,
unhinges kind of, and all these teeth come out.
Yep, and he bites Georgie's arm off.
Yeah, rips that shit right off, and Georgie's like, "Oh, God."
And he goes climbing away. He goes crawling away, and he's like, Billy. And Pennywise grabs him and
like his arm like extends.
Yeah,
and pulls him into the drain.
Yeah,
and then we see just like a pool of blood in the rainwater.
Yeah, and that was there's a title card that said that was October of '88.
Yeah.
We move forward to June of '89. school is just let out. So all these little shits are
like last day of school.
Last
that
day
was
of
always
school.
a magical day. They're all throwing their books away.
Yeah, I remember throwing like consumable books away, right? The ones that you would write in all year long. And it's
The actual textbooks. Yeah, you had to give those back.
yeah, you had to sign those out, and those are worth money. Like they got to use them next year because you'd always see the person's name written in there. Like, that guy graduated with my sister. You know, like I would see shit like
I remember
that.
that guy. You see boogers in there
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'd be like, oh no, I had fucking this kid's book. I hate that kid. He smells like poop. Speaking of which, at that cheer competition,
Yeah, somebody shit
talking about-
their pants.
there was a woman sitting in front of me and my wife, and she smelled like she had a diaper on.
Oh shit!
And she wasn't she wasn't an old woman, so I don't think she did, but she smelled like a dirty diaper.
Did you tap her on the shoulder? Excuse me, ma'am. You smell like shit.
No, I just
didn't do that. That's good.
covered my nose.
Excuse me, ma'am.
What fragrance is that you're wearing? Because it smells like shit.
It's intoxicating.
Oh yeah, she was awful. It was awful. It's established. I don't know if it's established here, but it's established at some point in the movie that there are various different children missing in this town.
Yeah, it's during this scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, we see like missing posters and stuff on the walls and stuff.
Yeah, we're in Derry, Maine. Of course, it's in Maine.
Of course,
Almost
Stephen King.
every. I think there's two
Most of
Stephen
them.
King stories that don't take place in Maine. One of them is Misery. The other one is the other one. But
The Shining.
Well, yeah, The Shining. I think is probably right.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they come from Maine though? In The Shining?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't matter. I really don't care.
We already did that episode.
Yep. Go back and listen to that. That's episode 100.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I got that.
Yeah.
I got that locked away
Yeah,
up here.
Look at you knowing your trivia.
Bill has friends. He's in school, right? Yeah. I mean, his brother died, but he's still got to go to get an education. His friends are Richie and Eddie and Stan. So they're like,
Yeah, and they kind of all get picked on.
They're the losers.
Yeah,
They have
they're
their
just
own
kind of
little-
geeky. They're kids.
Yeah.
Kind of
They're-
outcasts.
I know these kids. I was
Yeah,
these kids.
I was one of these kids as well. Like, I understand
Well,
them.
actually,
I understand them.
I was more like Ben. Because I was the fat kid, and I'd get picked on and called names and pushed around and everything, and just kind of like. I didn't ever have a Henry Bowers. Like there was definitely bullies, but they weren't.
Yeah, but not like this kid.
This kid is awful.
He's just the worst.
But there are these bullies. We got Henry Bowers, Belch Huggins, Patrick Hostetter, and Victor Chris, and they are just picking on this group of losers, our heroes.
Yeah, and they make fun of Bill. Like Bill's got a stammer or a stutter, and they make fun of that. Like they're just dicks.
And Bowers, who's the leader of the gang, he says you got to pass this year because your brother died.
Your brother died, but it's
no
on
longer.
now.
Yeah.
And doesn't he like deck him or something or shove him?
Well, he was going to, but then he sees his
oh yeah,
dad.
his dad, who's a cop.
Yep, who's like the chief of police or something.
Yeah, he's like, all right, you get a pass this time, buddy boy.
Yeah. We get introduced to Ben, who is the fat kid, and he's like
He's also the new kid,
new,
so he doesn't have any friends.
and he's also a nerd.
Yeah, so he spends most of his time in the library.
Yeah, and he's trying to get out of school without getting noticed by Bowers and his gang.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to Beverly, who comes up behind him, and she is got a reputation.
Yeah.
We were actually introduced to her earlier. She's in the bathroom stall, and there's
and a bunch of girls like dump
Garbage.
garbage on her.
call her a slut. Tell her that
Yeah.
she's done. You've done all the football players.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
all these rumors that she's promiscuous.
Yeah, which is like she's 12.
Yeah, she's not.
It's so stupid. Kids are fucking lame.
They really are.
So she goes and she's nice to Ben, and she
comes up to him and he's got headphones on. And she's like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" And she like pulls and it's New Kids on the Block or something.
Yeah, it's New Kids on the Block. And she's like, New Kids on the Block. And he's like, I don't like them. I just, whatever.
Yeah. It's okay.
And she's like, let me sign your yearbook. And so she opens it up and no one has signed it.
Yeah.
And so she signs her name and puts a couple of hearts. And she's like, here you go, new kid. And Bauer's gang already left, so you should be good to go. And she tells him like where they are. And then she says, keep hanging tough, new kid on the block.
Like,
and he goes, oh, okay, thanks. And then he yells back to her. He goes, please don't go,
Please
girl.
don't go, girl. Awesome. And he's like, even when he says, he's kind of like, that was lame.
He's like, because that's a song.
From New Kids on the, never mind.
Yeah. So, needless to say, I really like the character of Ben. He was always the character, even in the original TV movie, that I was like, I associated with the most and I kind of like was drawn to.
Yeah.
But the rest of the boys, okay, we don't have to go through, this is a long fucking movie, so I don't want to go through every single thing, but we can talk about Mike's introduction as well to the film. And I don't know when that happens, but it happens here shortly. Mike works with his grandfather?
Yeah, I think it's his grandfather. Yeah, because his parents are dead.
Yeah, his parents have died in a fire. And he works with his grandfather at a ranch of some sort, killing animals.
Yeah, and then they sell the meat like to
butchers and stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes into town, and Mike is African American. He goes into town to make the deliveries for his grandfather, and the bullies, pick on him as well because he's black. And they're like, get out of my fucking town,
Yeah, these guys are just the worst.
The worst kind of people in the world. Ben, the losers, the four that we talked about earlier, they all have different personalities too. Ben is, he's this kid who's obsessed with the fact that his brother died or is missing. He never says that he's dead.
Oh, Bill,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Bill is kind of obsessive about finding his brother. He wants to know what happened. He thinks his brother could still be alive.
Yeah. And he thinks he's like somewhere in the sewers or something, but
yeah,
they're going to find him someday.
Eddie is this kid who's a hypochondriac, who's like a victim of Munchausen syndrome because his mom is constantly telling him that he could get sick or that he is sick.
And he has like all these pills that he has to take and vitamins and stuff.
He's got a fanny pack. We got Stan, who is a kid, a Jewish kid who is
about to have his bar mitzvah.
Mm-hmm. Because he's turning 13, and so he's preparing for that. His dad is the rabbi, and so he's kind of a meeker type character who's like, I'm
about to become a man, but like I don't feel like a man.
I'm about to become a man.
I'm a man now.
And then you got Richie, who is always the jokester.
Yeah, kind of the wise ass of the group.
And him and Eddie go back and forth all the time.
Yeah, constantly breaking each other's balls and talking about like banging each other's moms and stuff.
Yeah, and Richie's always talking about how big his dick is. He reminds me a lot of my friend David, who's constantly telling me.
I was saying, Richie's probably the character I most identify with.
Because I got a text message from David last night who said, I'm just about ready to start It Chapter 2. And I said, yeah, I just finished it. And he goes, this movie is long. And then it was about 2 seconds later, I got another text, like my dick. So, yes.
Yeah. I feel a little bit of Richie courses through my veins.
So, they're all hanging out and they're hanging out for the summer, right? They're 12-year-old kids in the summertime. What do you do? Like, I remember getting on my bike and just going over to my friend's house, playing baseball, doing whatever in the summer.
It was the best.
It was the best. I wish we still had summer breaks.
Yeah, and he's ride our bikes around and stuff.
Can I drive?
Blow shit up.
So Bill says, hey guys, I have this idea that Georgie's body could have gone this way. So why don't we go investigate the quarry or whatever it is.
It's like this area called the Barrens. He's like, let's
Barrens,
spend some time over there. And they're like, yeah, okay.
So they're all like, fine, whatever. We got nothing else to do. And they go in there, and Stan and Eddie don't want to go in there because they're afraid, and also there's shit water in the sewer. They find the shoe of one of the missing girls.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, that's not good.
No. At this time, Ben is getting chased by the bullies, and he gets caught. And Henry Bowers takes his knife and is
Like
going
a
to carve
switchblade.
carve his name into Ben's belly.
Oh.
And he gets the H done.
Yeah, and as he's getting ready to start carving the rest, Ben like kicks and kind of pushes himself off and rolls down a hill.
Yep. And goes over this bridge and down this hill, and Bowers chases after him with his gang, and he's like, "Get him! I'm gonna fucking kill you!" And I'm like, "God damn, that's pretty fucking intense."
And he loses his knife, like kind of in the skirmish. He's like, "Oh, where's my knife? Oh,
Yeah.
my dad's gonna kill me!" And so right around this time, the boys that are in the sewer, they find Ben. Like Ben
Yeah,
kind of comes
Ben is
to them,
beat
and
up.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh shit, what the hell happened to you?"
So they kind of take him to go get better.
Yeah,
One of Bowers' gang members.
the fucking Adam Driver looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
If that guy was gonna be in the chapter 2, totally Adam Driver.
Yeah, he was. Older version. But he goes into the sewers looking for Ben, and he's got like
a lighter and like an aerosol can or something. He's kind of a pyro.
yeah, and he's like, "Come on, I know you're in here." And they all
Come
want
on, tits. Is that what he's
Yeah.
calling him?
Yeah. And Pennywise comes and fucking kills him.
Yep. You know, and I was like, good.
Yeah. Pennywise doesn't like care if you're a good guy or a bad guy. He's
No.
going to kill you either way. Let's see. This is the boys are going to fix up Ben, who's like hurt in the alley, and they go to the drugstore
Right.
to get supplies, and Beverly is in there, and she helps them steal stuff by
yeah,
distracting.
and she's shopping for tampons. So she like has them in her hands, and as she sees them, she's like, oh shit, and like puts it behind her back.
Yeah. She distracts the pharmacist by flirting with him. What a fucking perv this guy is.
I thought that too. I was like, oh, this guy's gross.
Disgusting. Anyway, she distracts him. The boys shoplift, and she gets out.
And she also steals a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah. She goes and meets up with the boys, and she kind of becomes part of their group because Bill says, well, we're going to the quarry tomorrow if you want to join us.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, maybe I will.
Yep. So they patch up.
And around this time, too, we learned that Beverly's dad is a fucking sleaze and a perv.
Yeah. So she goes home, and he sees her. She doesn't have a mom. Her mom passed away. And he sees her with the tampons, and he's like, are you still daddy's little girl? And he like smells her.
Yeah, and she's like, yes, daddy. Oh, it's so gross. And then she goes into the bathroom. I thought the scene was really sad because like she's just disgusted by her dad, and she's disgusted with herself. Mm-hmm. And I think like she's becoming a woman and all that stuff. And she goes in the bathroom and just cuts all of her hair off. Well, cuts it very short.
Well, I think she's more just disgusted that her. Yeah, I think you're
And
right.
her dad touched her. Yeah, I think she just like wants the
She also wants to. Her dad says something later. He goes, "What'd you do to your hair? You look like a boy." She's trying to make herself look less attractive.
Yeah.
Because her dad looks at her like he looked at her mom.
Right.
Her mom's not around. She's daddy's little girl, if you catch my drift.
It's so gross.
And so she wants to stray away from that. She doesn't want to be that. And she's also dealing with the fact that she's starting menstruation,
Right.
which is not a good time in a girl's life if she has nobody to talk to about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Especially back then, like, you know, I don't know how other men are, but I've talked to my daughter about it. I'm pretty open about it. And like, this is what happens.
Yeah, it's normal.
She knows all about it. I'm not gonna be like, well, that's your mom's thing. No, like,
Yeah. Like,
I've gone to the
talk
store.
about this.
I've gone to the store and bought
Yeah, same.
tampons and stuff, and I don't get embarrassed. I don't,
No.
People are dumb.
Exactly. It's like buying toilet paper. It's like, that shouldn't be embarrassing. People poop.
Hold on. one
She
second.
does meet up with them at the quarry. So, like the next day, she goes there, and I thought this was a little weird. So the guys all just like they'd already planned that they were going to go swimming at the quarry.
Yeah.
They didn't plan to bring swimsuits. So they're all in their tighty whities.
You just go in your tighty whities, dude.
No way. At that age, absolutely not.
Well, it leads to this scene so they can all see Beverly. She strips down to her underwear and bra.
And underwear, yeah.
She just jumps in.
Yep. And they're like, oh, fuck. Well, now we have to because she did.
Yep.
So they all jump.
So they all share a moment. We get a good young MC bust a move going on the boombox.
That's right.
So they're all hanging out, and
we get the sense too that Bill and Bev are kind of making eyes at each other, like that there's something there. That they might like each other.
Yeah. Later on, the kids befriend Mike, who is the last member of the loser club, I guess, and they save him from Bowers and the bullies by they get in a rock fight.
Yeah.
And I think it's Beverly actually who throws the rock that hits Henry Bowers right in the noggin, knocks his ass down.
Awesome.
And
that's a fun scene too, and it's got Antisocial by Anthrax.
Yeah,
playing.
And they defeat them.
Yeah,
together these.
Yeah,
losers,
the bullies have to retreat.
And so they're like, all right, cool. So, all right. Into the meat of it. Like, there's a lot of shit that happens here. But all these kids they start to see various
they're all having visions.
Manifestations of it, which, for the lack of a better word, is Pennywise. Okay? So they see different manifestations, and it's tapping into their fear. Because we'll come to find out that that's what Pennywise feeds on.
Yeah, it kind of feeds on fear.
I don't know if that's always the case, because like there's a couple of times where it attacks somebody and I'm like, was that person afraid?
Yeah, I think the fear just makes him stronger.
Yeah. So let's see. Bill sees it in Georgie. He feels guilty and guilt and fear.
He feels like if he had hung out with Georgie that day, he wouldn't have died.
Yes. Ben, what does Ben see?
Ben's in the library doing some research, and he sees, because he's like reading all about Derry's very strange history. And doesn't he see like a headless person or something?
Yeah, he sees a headless person.
He gets chased. Stanley sees a painting in his synagogue that I think scares him.
A crooked woman like playing a cello or some shit.
Yeah, and then Mike has visions of a fire with like arms coming out of a door.
Because his parents died in a
fire.
Eddie sees a rotting leper.
That's right.
Because he's like a germaphobe.
He's like a germaphobe.
I don't think we ever see what Richie sees.
Doesn't see something till later, I think.
In the second movie we see what he sees.
Right.
So we won't talk about what Richie sees. But Bev, she sees is blood everywhere in the bathroom coming out of the sink, and it sprays everywhere.
First she hears a noise like coming from the sink, and then blood sprays like everywhere, all over the walls, all over her, and she screams, and her perv dad comes in, and this is where we've learned also that like not everyone can see it.
Yep.
So he's like, what? And she's like, blood or something like that, and he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And then he just leaves, and she's like, yeah, the entire bathroom is covered.
So I'm not a genius, and I don't claim to be, but this is symbolic of her becoming a woman.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So she's afraid of the blood. She's afraid of menstruation and everything. And so when she says that, the dad's just like, whatever, get over it. But she wants to know that she wants to confirm that she's not crazy. So she calls the guys and says, hey, come over. They all go up there and they all see the blood.
Yeah. They're all like, oh God, gross.
But they all are really good friends and they like her. So they help her clean it up.
Right.
Oh, also, Ben writes Beverly a poem that doesn't make any sense. If you listen to the Swearwolves on a regular basis, you'll know this. But the poem goes, your hair is winter's fire, January embers, my heart burns there too. Did it make any more sense in the context to you?
I thought about you a lot because between the two movies, we hear that poem quite a few times.
Yeah. The poem, I guess what it means is like maybe winter's fire. It's because her hair is bright orange on her white skin, and so it's like fire against snow,
Yeah, maybe.
and it's January embers because that's when winter is, and his heart burns there with her.
Yeah, his heart burns for her.
It basically means he wants to fuck her.
He's very horny, that Ben.
Fat kids, we're horny. Okay, so this is a bumper sticker I'm gonna make. Fat kids,
Fat
we're
kids.
horny. ...
We're horny. I make no apologies for it.
They help clean up the blood, and they all share that they've seen different versions of Pennywise and it. And they, with the help of Ben, who does all this research on dairy, and
I like when they're in Ben's room and they're talking about it. Like Ben's got like all this like library shit and like flyers all over the wall, like from all
he's
the
got the
research he's doing.
string like attached to
Yeah,
everything.
he's that kid.
Yeah.
But like Beverly is like has to go to the bathroom or something, and she opens the door, and on the other side of his bedroom door is a New Kids on the Block poster, and she looks at Ben, and Ben's like, no, close the door, and she's like, yeah, and she does. So none of the others see it.
Yeah. So Ben has all of his research, and Bill's dad like works for like the zoning commission or some shit. So he's got maps of the sewer system. And so they put a slide projector and put up some slides of the old map that Ben found and the current map, so they can find out like where is this all leading to.
Got to triangulate.
Yep. And Ben tells them that there's something about a well house or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And they find out that it's this old abandoned creepy house on the corner of whatever street and whatever street. Every house.
Yeah,
every
and that's
town
where
has one.
the whole system kind of converges.
Yep. So they decide they're going to go investigate this. So
Yeah, Bill decides he's going to go, and everyone else is kind of reluctant, but then they end up following him because they're his friend. And I like Bill gives like a speech, right? Is this the part where Bill kind of gives a speech about like we're going to go in there, and but he doesn't stutter the entire time he's talking.
yeah,
And I think Richie notices that. He's like, he didn't stutter once.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is when they go give the speech. So they go in there. And
and this is where Richie has like his first vision. Like he finds a missing like poster of himself, and he's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, what is this shit? And then doesn't he go into like a room full of clowns?
because he says he's afraid of clowns.
Yeah.
And so he sees all these clowns, and then there's a dead version of him, like it's a ventriloquist dummy almost in a casket.
Yeah.
And then Pennywise pops up and
Chases
starts
him,
coming
and he
after
gets
him.
away.
Eddie and Bill are trying to get to him. Eddie falls through the floor and breaks his arm.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like bent, and
Yeah, doesn't
Like,
one
I
of them like
can't-
set it?
I could look at it because
Yeah.
it's fake, right? But it's bent, and it's like, I don't know, it's just like a curve. And Bill rescues Richie, and they go get Eddie. And there's a cool scene though when they're getting Eddie, and they're like, we got to get the fuck out of here. That the refrigerator in this abandoned house opens up, and Pennywise is in there. And he comes out, and he's all like contorted, and he's all
Yeah, and he's like slowly straightening himself out
yeah.
and twisting and stuff.
And he's about ready to eat. I think it's Eddie, and Bev comes in, and she stabs him through the head with a spike from a
Like a fence or something.
wrought iron fence.
Yeah.
And she
And it goes right through his head, like sideways. It was awesome.
Yep. And he retreats. He leaves down the well.
Oh, and I like when Pennywise has that thing sticking out of his head. He turns his head and slashes Ben's belly. Like poor kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's-
Like right where he got cut
He just
before.
can't win. It's like, that wound is still tender, please.
Gotta lose a few pounds. His belly won't be in the way.
Yep.
So he goes, he retreats, and the kids get out of there. Eddie's mom, who's the hypochondriac, she's a nudge.
Pissed.
Yeah, she's like, you guys aren't allowed to hang out with my boy, and she's such a lazy fuck.
She's gross.
She's disgusting. So she takes Eddie away, and to go get it. Like, this time she's correct. He is hurt. Richie and Bill have a moment where Richie's like, you could get one of us fucking killed. And I don't want to
Bill wants
end
to go
up.
back because Bill's like, before we left that house, I saw the well.
Yeah.
Like, I know where it is, and if Georgie's alive, that's where he'll be. He'll be down there.
And Richie's like, your brother's dead. and I don't want to be dead. And he's like, you take that back. He's not dead. And they get into a fight, and Richie's like, fuck you. And he hightails it. Stan's like, I'm out of here. Mike's like, I'm with them. So they all kind of just...
Bill and Bev are they're the only two that are interested.
Yeah, but they still separate, right?
Yeah. Now we jump to August.
Yeah, so we get a little montage here and there
of them all kind of doing their own thing.
Yep. Over the course of the summer. Now, yes, you're right. We jump to August. And I get the sense that Bev has had enough and she's going to run away. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but she's like packing up a bunch of stuff into a backpack, and she goes to leave and the door is padlocked from the inside. And her dad is there, and he's like, where are you going? And he gets really aggressive with her.
Super aggressive. It's gross.
And so she goes and runs and hides in the bathroom, and he's like gonna whip her, right? Does he grab a belt or something?
I think so.
I don't know. I
can't remember. But yeah, but then she hides in the shower and closes the curtain.
And he goes in there and he opens the shower curtain, and she's got the back porcelain top,
like the lid of a toilet,
and she cracks him right up beside the noggin.
Dude, I thought she killed him because he falls to the floor and there's a pool of blood.
I think she does.
I thought she did until something that happens later, and I was like, oh, I don't get the sense that he's dead.
Oh, well,
like in the very end, but maybe he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's not dead because in chapter 2 she goes back to the house and he's
she goes back to the house. Yep, he's not dead.
But I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was like, oh shit, she killed her dad.
That's what I thought too. But you're absolutely right. In part 2, they established that he didn't die. Anyhow, she knocks him out, and she goes to leave, but Pennywise abducts
grabs her. Yep.
And takes her.
And meanwhile, like around the same time this is happening, the Henry Bowers kid and his goons, they've got a cat, and he's got his dad's gun, right?
And he's gonna shoot the cat.
He's gonna kill this cat. He's like, hold it still. And then the dad comes out, and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And he like berates the kid in front of his friends, and like, and you can tell like Henry's being abused as well, and like he's like trembling. He's terrified of his dad. No excuse for torturing animals, but I think it also shows that Henry is probably the way he is. It's a product of him being abused.
True.
Again, doesn't excuse it.
I mean, Beverly's abused. Is she
killing
cats?
Cats. Well, not that we ever see.
That's true. She's a bunch of cat hides.
Fucking cat murderer. But then, I think the dad says like get in the house or something like that. So Ben goes in. Not Ben. Henry, is that his name?
Yeah,
Bowers?
Henry. Well, first Henry gets a package in the mail.
Oh yes. The mailbox doesn't have like a balloon hanging from it.
It has a red balloon.
Yeah, and he opens it up, and there's a package, and he opens the package, and it's his knife that he lost.
His missing knife, yeah.
It's like, oh, cool.
Well, and then he hears a voice that says, like, kill him or
kill them all or something like that. And
he's
does he have a
Metallica?
vision of Pennywise on the TV in the house? It is Metallica. Kill them all.
Yes, there's like this show that's always in the background. It's like this children's show. It's like every TV has the same children's show in the background throughout the movie. And Henry looks at it. His dad's passed out drunk in a chair, and he looks at the TV, and it's like, kill them all, Henry. Kill them. And he's got the switchblade right at his dad's neck, and then he just lets it switch open.
Yep. Oh, and the dad like opens his eyes and he pulls the knife out, and his blood sprays everywhere.
Yep.
Gross. His dad is dead.
His dad is dead.
He's dead now.
And then he's going to go... now he's going to go get the losers.
Get the rest of them.
Yeah. So Pennywise is using Henry
as kind of a tool.
His dirty work.
Yeah. Bill goes to visit Beverly. So he goes to check on her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's like, what the hell? And he goes in, and he sees that in the bathroom, smeared in blood, like a message, and it says like, you die if you try. Like, don't even try to rescue her.
Yep. And he sees that the dad is like passed out on the floor in a pool of blood. And so he's like, I got to reassemble the old gang.
Yeah, got to get the gang back together.
We haven't seen each other in 4 weeks. I wonder what they're doing these days.
It's been an eternity. Yeah, they're all grown now.
So he assembles the gang of losers by telling them, like, look, Beverly is in trouble. She needs our help. And they all love her, right?
Yeah.
And so they they all get back together and do it for her. So they go back to the well house, and they are all going down in the well. Bowers comes and is going to kill Mike. They get into a fight, and Mike gets the best of Bowers through a series of events, kicks him in the balls or whatever, and pushes him down into the well, and he just goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah, he follows a long time. So it's like, oh shit, he's dead.
Yes, he does. So the kids all go down into the well, and they're searching around, and they find, like I said, there's a lot of shit that happens, but they find
a bunch of kids floating.
Literally.
And Bev is one of them.
Yeah. And Bev is one of them, and she's got what they refer to as the deadlights later on, but she's just given this blank stare, and she's just floating there.
She's got like cataract eyes, basically.
Here's my question, though. There's all these kids floating, all these missing kids that are floating, right? Floating. And Bev is one of them. They grab her, pull her down, and Ben actually gives her a kiss, like true love's kiss, and it brings her back out of that. They can't revive any of these other fucking kids?
Well, they were floating pretty high up.
Get a ladder.
I don't know. But I like when they pull
Call
Bev
an
down.
adult.
Call an adult. Yeah, this
Go
can all be
last.
solved. When Ben kisses her, I like the look that the other kids give him, and like he kind of shoots a look back, like, "Hey, it was worth a shot," and then she does snap out of it. But I like that short delay.
I think Wayne Gretzky said it best. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So yes, he does kiss her, brings her back to life. Pennywise comes out. Georgie comes out. And Georgie's talking to Bill, and he's like, Bill, I'm scared. I just want to go home with you. And Bill's like, yes, Georgie, I know, da-da-da-da-da. And then Bill takes that fucking cattle gun that shoots it's like fucking Javier Bardem.
Yeah. Very No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. And he takes like a handheld version of that, portable one that Mike brought, and he puts it up to Georgie and pulls the trigger.
Yeah, he's like, you're not my brother.
Yep. And he fucking dies, but he turns into like Pennywise. Pennywise takes Bill hostage and is like, look, if you just let me have him, you guys can go.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck you. And Richie even stands up and he's like, fucking Bill, it's your fucking fault, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, and now I got to kill this fucking clown.
Yeah.
And cool. I think he takes a spear or something and throws it at him.
A baseball bat or something.
Yeah, and he like knocks it upside the head, and they just keep
and
like
they all start
pummeling
just
him.
wailing on him.
Yeah, kind of like what they did to the bullies, right?
Yeah.
They all gang up together.
Yeah, exactly.
And they defeat him, and he retreats into the sewers.
Oh, and while all the fighting, I can't remember if it's before the big fight or during or something like that, but at one point, Stanley almost dies. Like, Pennywise gets on him and starts eating his face.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's right. They, get him off of him, but his face is all fucked up.
Yeah. Bill's like, he's going into hibernation, and he's going to starve to death because he hasn't eaten enough, so we defeated it. But, well, anyway, Bill comes to terms that his brother is dead.
Yeah, doesn't he find his raincoat or something?
Yeah. So I don't know. Oh, we'll talk about.
Oh, and all the kids float back down,
and they're just bodies now.
Yeah.
So now it's September, and they're all like gathered around, and Beverly's talking to them, and she's like, "I had a vision of all of us as adults."
Yeah, we were all a lot older.
And we were fighting it again. She's like, I can't remember much, but that's what I remember. There's actually a part, I think is it in this movie?
Which part?
Where Stan says, oh, what do I look like?
Yeah. I think so. I think that's in this one. I couldn't remember if they added that in the second one and we didn't see it, but I think we see it in both. And she kind of hesitates. She's like, you're older.
Yeah, she's like, you look the same,
You look the
just
same, but
taller.
older.
Yeah,
but taller. That's right.
But Bill stands up and he grabs a piece of glass and he cuts his hand. pretty deep.
Deep. I thought that too. It's like, dude, just a little.
Like you're gonna need stitches.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't need to do a symbolic thing. Like, just make a small incision or spit.
Yeah. But he's like, promise, if this ever comes back, we'll all come back and we'll fucking defeat it again. And everybody cuts their hand and
They all
everybody
join
grabs hands and they do a little dance and
Make a little love.
and they got down tonight. But
then we find out that Bev is going to go live with her aunt in Portland, so she's getting out of town.
Yeah, her aunt said she could live there for as long as she needs to get away from her abusive dad. One by one, the losers leave, and they're like, okay, see you later. And Ben is the last. Well, Bill and Bev are there, but Ben's the last one to leave them, and he kind of turns around and he knows that he can't compete with Bill.
Yeah.
And his devilishly good looks. So he's just like, she'll never know that I'm the poet.
That it was me. Because at one point, Bev reads the poem. Like, she says it to Bill, thinking that he wrote it. And he's like, I don't really know much about poetry. And she's like, huh?
Yeah. So that's...
And then those two kiss. Bill and Bev kiss.
They kiss, yep. Do we see Henry Bowers get arrested in this one?
No. Ooh, no.
Is that the beginning of the second one?
Yeah. Because we're led to believe that he's dead.
Okay.
Spoiler. He ain't dead.
So that's the end of this movie.
Yeah.
It ends with the kids all making this pact to come back. Okay. That movie's over.
Done.
And they had to that point, yes, we don't see Henry Bowers is still alive because, like we talked about before, they had to make this a standalone movie. The only thing that leads anybody like, oh, is there going to be a sequel? Is the fact that they're like, promise if this ever happens again. They're setting that up. David, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this movie?
I love this movie. I loved it like the first time I saw it in the theater. I bought it on Blu-ray when it came out. I've seen it a handful of times now. My favorite thing about it, and we've talked about this in other episodes, we both love movies about kids going on adventures.
Yep.
We both love movies where kids talk like actual kids. And that's my favorite thing about this group is, yeah, they're all different, but they do seem like the kind of people who would still be friends because they're united in the sense that they're all outcasts just in different ways.
Yep.
But they talk like real kids. Like, they break each other's balls. They have bad mouths. I think Pennywise is super creepy. Most of the adults in the movie are the villains, and the kids kind of have to rely on each other.
Yeah.
As far as stuff that I don't like, I think it's a little bit over reliant on jump scares. I wish there was a little bit more creepiness, and there's some of that. There's definitely some creepiness, but a lot of the scares are like Pennywise pops out, or here's a scary painting person, here's a scary homeless person. Like, it's kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
And then it also does the thing where, and this is just like a trend that I think, I don't even know if it's still going on, but like when something is chasing something, like it skips frames, so like it moves funny.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like a visual thing, and I find that a little bit annoying. And I thought some of the CG was unconvincing and looked fake. But those are all pretty minor nitpicks because I think overall it's a very, very good standalone movie. So I'm going to give this sucker a 4.5.
Okay. All right. Well, you make very valid points, and I think all of your points are spot on. Actually, I'm not going to rate it as high as you did. I gave it a 4.
Nice.
But I think, like, the reason why I gave it a 4 is probably due to some of the stuff that you said, or like, oh, that's good, but it's not great. That's good, but it's not great. I think this movie is really good as well. I think where this movie loses me sometimes is it's a little long.
And repetitive. And I think back to what you were saying about, like, they had to make a choice, like, do we want to have all 7 kids, or do we want to, like, pare it down a little bit? But because we have all these kids, we got to have something for each of them to be afraid of.
So if we're just looking at it as a movie, like if I saw this and I didn't know the source material, right? I'd be like, well, they could have made less friends.
Yeah.
They could have had it be a couple of these guys are one person instead. And they could have done this and they could have done that. There's stuff that I think they included because they wanted to pay service to the source material and get those people that are Stephen King fanatics to go, I don't hate this movie because it's a good adaptation of it's an adaptation. Yes, but it's a good adaptation. It might not be 100% faithful, but it's a good one.
Right.
And they had to include certain things in order to get that. I understand all that. But that aside, looking at it as a film, it's a little long. There are certain CG stuff that I was kind of like, meh. Pennywise is good. I wanted to see more of Pennywise. I wanted more of that character. It's like, you have a movie. The title of the movie is It. Pennywise is It. He's not in the movie enough.
Yeah, almost like the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where there's very little Freddy.
Exactly. That's what we want to see when we go see this. We want to be creeped out by him. You showed us the preview for the movie, the trailer, the teaser trailer, where you see Pennywise and you're like, oh, fuck. And then we don't get that until like the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a 4. But I do like this movie for all the reasons that you said. It's the same reason why I like Stranger Things, why I like Goonies and Stand By Me
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Kids, that I actually identified with back in the day, growing up with, but now it's like looking back, it's like, oh, they're living in the same time period I was when I was their age. So,
did you ever see Super 8?
Yeah, I like that movie
I think
too.
that movie's really underrated. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, we could do that movie. That's a horror movie.
Maybe. Spoiler, I like it.
So overall, that's a 4.25 Pamela Voorhees Heads, which is a high praise from the Swearwolves.
We hate everything.
Yeah. Muschieri, you did a good job.
Muschieri, well done. I was going to keep going, but...
So this is part 1. This is the first, I said this earlier, this is the first, Swearwolves first. We're going to do a 2-parter.
It was a real cliffhanger.
It's a cliffhanger. But not really.
No,
it's a cliffhanger like it was. It's like, we set it up.
There's going to be another one.
Well, if we get the budget. So stay tuned next week for It Chapter 2. But in the meantime, and we've never done that before too, announce what movie we're going to do.
That's right. We usually make people wait until like every Thursday on social media.
Ooh, it's so exciting.
Build some suspense.
In the meantime, if you want to contact us, how can they contact us, David?
On Twitter, Facebook, the Slasher app, TikTok, YouTube, Hive. Search the Swearwolves on those platforms. On Instagram, search the Swearwolves podcast. You can go to our website, theswearwolves.com. You can email us at contact@theswearwolves.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 623. Gotta do that one again. I started giving my own phone number. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 623-282-1851.
So for the Swearwolves this week, I'm Bret.
I'm David.
January Embers. My farts burn there too.